Hi, this is Casio, and you're watching Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV.
G'day guys and welcome to the Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host Ellis Gelios and I'm here with the Daily Football Show's senior editor Hugh Schuitemaker. Now there's no A-League fixtures this weekend, Hugh, so we are here today to provide some extra content to get fans through the weekend. We're going to get a little bit sentimental today as well, which I always love doing, I'm sure as you do as well. We're going to look into the 5 greatest wins, in our opinion, against Wellington Phoenix since the inception of the A-League.
There's been a lot of them.
There has, yeah, there has. So just before we get into it, we do play next Saturday away to Wellington. It's a 5 p.m. kickoff. And just before we get into the top 5, Hugh, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on the Perth Glory loss. Obviously, a really disappointing day. It was quite a hot day as well. We had a lot of fans pack in, and I think everyone expected better, but I'm just going to put it out there. When we did the preview, I did say we'd lose.
You did. You called the loss and you called the video winner. So
exactly. And so I didn't feel as let down because I kind of had already predicted that we'd lose. But you were there that day, and I just want to get your thoughts on the loss.
Could go on. I'll try and keep it short. I think Perth came at us with a really strong game plan of defending from the front. Mm-hmm. Is kind of what I've heard put really well. So Keogh came right at Keogh came right at his AES was shut down. Same with Goodwin. So it just left big gaps that those through balls came through well too easy. Jordan Elsey was caught out a bit out of position.
Yeah.
And towards the end, came too much.
Yeah. Did you find it quite staggering? I certainly did. At the beginning, they were so hell bent on not letting us play out. Like the high press was just like our centre halves. They couldn't split. Nothing from Izzo could go wide. His distribution was really limited because of that. We just felt like, well, I felt from my behalf that our defenders in particular just weren't prepared for that at all.
Exactly. Yeah, they clearly felt the pressure and they caused a lot of mistakes at the back that put ourselves under pressure and never really seemed settled at the back, which is kind of opposite of what we've seen so far at the beginning of the season from Galloway and Jacobson.
Yeah. Well, let's try and get that one out of our heads.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to move straight into number 5. We're taking you back to season 2012-13. Let's see what you guys make of it. Yeah, so a 3-1 win in season 2012-13. We were managed by Cozzy at the time. It actually turned out to be a really turbulent season, this one. On that day in particular, there was a pretty healthy crowd, 8,500. But we've chosen it as number 5 because it was marred by controversy because, of course, we had the Geronimo dive, which... even though on the footage it appeared very much like a dive, there was a bit of debate. Craig Foster, I remember at the time, actually came out and said it was the right call because there was the faintest bit of contact, and he said if you technically look at the rules, last man contact, it's a red card. But let's be honest, like there's no way the amount of contact that Ben Sigmund got warranted Geronimo to go down. It was clearly Geronimo, having not been here that long, not knowing that we don't really tolerate that in Australia as a section of fans and media alike. So Sigmund got sent off. Casio scored a goal on that day. Geronimo scored 2. We ended up finishing 4th that season, but went out in the first week of the finals under then interim coach Michael Valkanis. Hugh, take us back.
Well, I would have been sitting in the Western grandstand at this time, high up in the top tier. So it's always hard to see, from that height, from that distance back from
of
the
course,
pitch.
in real time,
But I remember, all the fans, all our home fans seemed pretty dead set that it was a penalty at the time. But Geronimo, wasn't here that long at the time, but definitely grew into be one of, a really iconic player at our club, I feel, and underrated overall as an import, especially. So in this season now, we seem to have a lot of focus on so many different imports. Even Richie Delat, is causing a lot of a stir. So if Geronimo was in the league now, he'd be up, he'd be making headlines. Yeah,
and I think it's a really good point you made about how underrated he was. I feel like because he was a sort of fox in the box, scored a lot of tap-ins kind of striker, people sort of thought like, he was that kind of player. He wasn't anything brilliant. He was good enough for what we wanted. He was actually a really, really, really gifted striker, and he could play in a multitude of different positions. We were really quite fortunate to have him. And there were a few question marks about our finances, as there often is. Before we got him in, we hadn't come off the greatest season before we brought him in, which was the Rennie Cullen disaster year.
Indeed.
And so, on Geronimo, I thought, because he had such a big impact on this result, we're speaking about him specifically, but over the course of time, he very much proved that he was one of the most iconic players to play in a Reds shirt. And if you actually have him on, if you follow him on social media, he's always reposting stuff from his time at Adelaide United.
You can tell he really loved it.
Yeah, so he really had a soft spot for the city.
Same with Casio,
of course, all those Latin-based players all seem to love the city a lot. We're going to get into number 4 now. Taking us back to a very memorable season, 2015-16. We'll never forget that year. Let's see if you remember the day. Yeah, so number 4, and it was a 4-0 away win to the Wellington Phoenix in our championship winning season, Hugh. Now, very much during the time that we played this game, we were starting to get under a real good run of form. Probably the best that I've ever come to know in our history.
Those were the days.
We were just steamrolling everyone. Anyway, we went away to Wellington. It was March of 2016. Now, on that day, McGowan, Mork, Jite and Pablo Sanchez all got on the score sheet. Moore was definitely turning it around at this point. There was a 7,000 crowd in there at Westpac Stadium to see us absolutely dismantle Wellington. Kept a clean sheet as well. And there's no question this result convinced everyone at the time, whether you passionately hated Adelaide United or passionately supported Adelaide United, that we were absolutely the real deal coming off a result like that. And as everyone knows, we ended up the very next month securing the premiership, and then the month after that in May, we'd won everything. So we completed the dream season, completely turned it around. People likened it to Leicester City's heroics of that same time. Hugh, you were doing some very good work at DFS at the time. You guys were taking fan cams. I was actually just the other day watching your fan cams from that grand final, and I thought, wow, that this idea was going along well before we started this. So obviously these memories stand in your mind very clearly. Talk us through how it was for you as someone in the media at the time.
I guess it's kind of typifies the season as a whole there. So the first 7-8 games that we were, when things weren't going to plan, we'd interview fans after the games, and everyone was down. They were trying to figure out, people were calling for more to go. Exactly. And then by this point, you know, when we had home games around these type of fixtures here, it was just totally opposite.
Yeah.
Everyone was loving it, and it was the feeling was really there that we were going to win the league.
Yeah.
And it was really special. It was a really special feeling at the time, and a really special fan base, you know, really devoted fans.
I always feel like in the A-League, even if the team that you support is in really hot form at the time, when you go away, particularly a pretty big away trip to a different country, you can never feel completely sure that you're going to go and do the business.
Yep.
And to come away with a 4-0 win on this particular day, I remember I just watched the game and it was like a really nice day. Still had that sort of summer feel about things. I was going till 21st and I just remember thinking, this is the best thing ever.
Like, will really set you up for the evening.
Yeah, like just, you know, I really didn't expect such a comprehensive result, and that really was a defining game for me. I feel like coming away from that game, my expectations grew another level in that year, and I just felt like from that point on, because it was nearing the end of the home and away season, wow, like, you know, it's going to take a lot to bottle this from now on, you know. So
where we started to you know, at this point, and the team, the names on that score sheet just illustrate, you know, the team that we had as a unit, as a whole. You know,
exactly.
GT up front, Mork. We probably saw the best of Mork in that season.
Oh, without question. And the other thing on the point you just made about the goal scorers illustrating how things were for us at that time. We really were, the goals were coming from everywhere. You know, like GT wasn't your 15, 20 goal scorer per year. The goals were coming from everywhere that season, and it proved again on that day, having 4 different scorers. So precisely. Great points made there, Hugh, and a game we'll never forget, I think, for a million different reasons. So that was number 4. Going into win number 3, we go back to the season 2012-13. Let's see what you guys made of it. Yeah, so strangely enough, Hugh, that was another 3-1 win during the same season as what was mentioned previously. And even more crazy, we had the exact same attendance that day.
Twilight Zone match.
Yeah, 8.5 thousand again, packed into Cooper Stadium. Wellington really proving the whipping boys for us.
That season. We
hadn't even reached January and we'd beaten them 3-1. Now the season was going healthy. On the score sheet that day, Karuska with 2 and Fabs Ferrer with 1. But what made this such a memorable win against Wellington is the fact that Eugene Gelios pulled out one of the greatest goalkeeping moments in the history of the A-League. He made a double save in stoppage time. It was just an amazing piece of reflexes, and he really showed how good of a shot stopper he was. And what put the cherry on the cake for Eugene was that the highlight package from that save was actually shown to Joe Hart in some kind of weird Fox Sports segment that I think Daniel Garb did, and Joe Hart was just full of praise. The ex-Man City goalkeeper was just full of praise for Eugene Gelios. So we'll never forget that moment. It's always getting shown again and again and again, and that was against Wellington. So that's what really stood out for me. That's why we've picked this as game number 3. I assume you were at that game as well?
Yeah. Still been sitting up in the members stand there. Another highlight reel moment for Eugene Gelios, who probably maybe the most heroic player that we've ever seen at Adelaide United.
Definitely one of our longest serving.
So it was
captain at the time too.
It's a shame that momentum from these Wellington games couldn't really translate overall that season because I had so many good memories of Marcello and Fabio as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a bit of a car crash effect because John Cosmina got wind of the fact that someone was trying to take his job, and so he resigned with immediate effect. Michael Valkanis came in. This is early January of 2013. Valkanis came in, and we sort of didn't really continue to win many games. Ended up making the finals, and didn't make the worst account of ourselves, but it was definitely a season that could have been. I think a lot of people aren't annoyed with Cozzy, but just still have questions about why he turned his back on the club so easily. It just seemed weird at the time because it's not like we were in bad form. We had just been smashed by Western Sydney, I think it was the week before he resigned, but aside from that result, he was going really well.
There's no criticism. Really
it seemed like there was a lot of momentum going forward, and suddenly Cosmina resigned, and the rest was history. So coming in another 3-1 was the result in December of 2012 against Wellington Phoenix.
It was a hot day.
Hot day, was it?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so getting into 2014-15 now. This was one of the most memorable games as an Adelaide United supporter. Let's see how much you guys remember about it. What a result this was, a 2-1 win, a last minute winner. We'd come from behind. Rolly Bonavacia had scored early for the Wellington Phoenix to put them 1-0 up, which is pretty unusual. When Wellington come to Adelaide, they usually don't do too well when they come here. It was 1-0 until Craig Goodwin whipped in a free kick to equalise.
Like he's doing these days.
We were able to equalise from that, Nigel Bogard, and then with the very last kick of the game, Sergio Cirio. It's another free kick actually. Sergio Cirio got on the end of it and tapped it home, ensuring that we won the game 2-1. What stands out for me with this game was that Gombau lost it. I'm talking ultra knee slides, ran onto the pitch. This was like Gombau, wow. So that will stick in the minds of everyone.
Gombau.
And as much as the memories have been amazing over the course of experiences at Highmarsh Stadium over the years, it's been rare that we've won games with the very last kick of the game. It's not really one of our characteristics, and so to see Serge Cirio popping up with a very, very, very late winner, I think it had gone over 94 minutes, it just took everyone's breath away, and the house really came down, and Hugh, I'm sure you remember it quite vividly.
That's a very good point that you make about us not really scoring late often. It's not something that you can really count on for Adelaide. But Gombau's second season here, we're really coming into his style at this point. Really, there weren't huge margins on the scoreboard, but the play was really, really beautiful to watch on the pitch. And moments like these are what you love to see as a football fan. Got the phone out, watching this free kick, the night, just praying for it to go in, and then Snapchat moments.
I'm not big on Snapchat. If you say that's the type of defining Snapchat moment, I believe you. What is significant about this period of time? We were on the cusp of winning the FA Cup. This was in November. We ended up winning it in December of that same year. So there was a lot of eagerness and anticipation as to where we were heading. And I think that came as a result of the fact that Gombau made various tweaks to the system after that first season he had, where it was purely possession. and not a whole lot about where we could go from just having the ball. When 2014-15 came, you could see that suddenly we were doing a lot of diagonal switches, trying to find that easier avenue to goal where it was there at times, as opposed to just keep the ball, passing triangles. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing the right thing. So that was really significant in getting us into this position where we could start to pull out these kinds of results, I think.
Exactly, and definitely evolved into what Amor took us with, how Amor took us to the grand final.
Absolutely. Betting down the success for the future. That came in at number 2, purely because of the fact that the ecstasy of winning a game with the last kick. Great stuff. Moving into number 1. And I'm sure right now, at the time of watching, you're wondering, this could be anything. Who knows what we're going to pull out? Well, we're taking you all the way back to 2008. So that was season 2008-09. It was round 14, I believe, of that season. And it was very much what signalled our intent to have the most memorable season, arguably, in the club's history prior to 2015-16. We went on to achieve amazing success, making the A-League Grand Final, the Asian Champions League final, and playing in the FIFA Club World Cup. But on this particular day, Wellington were farmers, weren't they? In this period of time.
That's early Wellington team.
They were all over the place. This day in particular was all about the pocket rocket. My boy Cassio scored an amazing double, some great goals. Also on the score sheet that day, Ogmanovsky, Cristiano with 2, and Travis Dodd late in the game, the Capitano. It was the start of, like I said, one of our biggest and best seasons. Some fantastic goals, and a personal favourite of mine going down the years. We had 9,500 Phil Coopers on that day. The belief was strong, and a 6-1 win. Holy hell, Hugh! Yep. What a momentous evening this was.
You can't look. There's not many better days to look back on as an Adelaide fan. Especially when you go so far back to where what is becoming a rich history. For the team. So iconic names all throughout that game. I would have been 16. Probably, in the stands. So really, it's really fun to see, looking back on that, how far 10 years ago, how far we've come as a team, and how far the league's come.
How far everything's come.
So just thinking about where we began from there, and coming to where we are now, there's still just as much support behind the team, if not more. The fans are always as devoted.
Definitely, and I think just to expand on that, back in those times, without being disrespectful to Wellington and some of those other expansion teams, these kinds of heavy defeats were becoming not expected, but when they came, you'd be like, oh, okay, they've had one of those days. If a team today lost 6-1 in the A-League, there would be a real big post-mortem. It wouldn't just be accepted. It would be the pressure in that week following the result would just be huge out of the media, and, there'd be all kinds of questions like, what on earth has occurred on this day for this kind of result to happen. If you remember back to season 14-15, we beat Newcastle, I think 7-1 at home, and that was because the result was just so insane and such a heavy defeat immediately after, the word crisis was getting thrown around at Newcastle.
Sorry to say, even this season with Mariners, we just suffer a couple. We beat them even just 3-0, and then Victor beat them 4-1. So they're already talking about the season being in crisis. So.
Yeah, definitely. What a result and what a night that was. All in all, some fantastic wins, a lot of them as well, a hell of a lot of them over the last 15 years.
We do well against the Phoenix.
We certainly do. Hope you've enjoyed the top 5. Just to conclude, we've got to mention that obviously you churn out a lot of work with the Daily Football Show, plenty of articles. Is there anything in particular this week that people can look forward to reading? Anything
because of the international break, I haven't been able to do my A-League fantasy column for this week, looking at my fantasy team. So that's going pretty well. I'm in the top 2,000 of the Fox Sports competition.
Oh,
so I got Craig.
Look out!
Captain Craig Goodwin when he got the 2 goals and the assist the other week. So that's huge. So that's just the column. I do that each week, but obviously because of the international break, it's no column this week. So next week that's coming back. So that's
okay.
And one of the highlights we got going on at the moment is the Football Manager blog that Fruch is doing.
Fruch's Manager. It's an interesting new bit of content that DFS is throwing together, but it works. I love hearing about people that really get
undefeated streaks over there.
People that get into a real Football Manager save. Very exciting to follow. So
we're going to make sure he puts his suit on for his cup finals when he gets to them.
as every passionate Football Manager enthusiast would do. Good on Mr. Joel there. And every great bit of work that the DFS team does. Make sure you listen to their podcast Monday to Friday. Now just pressing along, like the following pages: the Reds, Adelaide United supporter page, and AUFC news. Big important bit of news: Casio, the interview, comes out this Tuesday. Make sure you are sticking on Facebook throughout the day so that when it comes out you see it straight away and start watching. You'll need a bit of popcorn because it's quite a long feature-length interview, but
so the Lance Armstrong interview.
I mean, if only I had Oprah Winfrey's bank account. But it is a very long feature-length interview, and there's been a massive amount of anticipation in the lead-up to its release. So make sure you get around that. That comes out Tuesday, and of course, let's get behind the Socceroos, who have an international game Saturday night, and I believe one next week as well.
Yep.
Yeah, is that true?
I'd say so. Yeah.
You'd say so. Don't know if that's true. I'm assuming because we usually do. So getting around the Socceroos as well, and of course, last but not least, like and share everything that comes out from this page. Hugh, it's been great to get you on for a second time in what's been a bit more of a fun show this time round. Hope you've enjoyed it, but it's important that you know that we will be regularly doing Adelaide United preview shows filmed every Thursday night when the squads come out between now and the end of the season. So make sure that you look forward to those. Your most informative Adelaide United preview segment that you'll get anywhere in the internet, around the internet. So we'll be here every Thursday doing those. Other than that, Hugh, thanks a lot for coming on.
Anytime.
Great to do business, and we'll see you guys very soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.